What's up, folks? Maximilian here, and welcome back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, The Online Warrior Season 2 and Episode 31. Previous episode was talking about the current situation and the stability of Marvel within the competitive scene, and the overall trend of this phrase that Marvel is dying amongst the community between a lot of members. Essentially, I posed the question, is Marvel dying, in the previous episode, gave some of my personal thoughts about the current situation of the game and its online presence, and it kind of does seem to be following that suit, but as a personal note, I feel that the game is kind of losing its thunder. Some people did agree, and some people definitely did disagree, and then some of the, when you really get excited about Marvel, you kind of have to look back and understand what are the moments that are really exciting and what are the moments that you end up seeing a lot. And this is where I kind of wanted to make a follow-up to the previous episode before I get on with this one, so we'll save that for a little bit later, but you guys might be noticing that within this episode and the gameplay you're going to be seeing is that there's something much different going on. Not ridiculously different, but there's definitely a new team layout that I'm going to be calling my mid-tier team, not composed of ridiculously high-tier characters and stuff like that. I have switched out Doom and Strider, and aptly I am calling a part of this episode Living Without Dr. Doom. And it's something that I have never done in the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 engine. Even in the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the vanilla version, I used Dr. Doom. He did not have his foot dive shenanigans. He was just a really good character, in my personal opinion, and I liked the way he played. It's just that in Ultimate, he got a lot freaking better. Strider's also a character that fits very well as an assist, and I definitely miss him sometimes when it comes to Trish kind of running up and flying away and characters covering like the top part of the screen. I noticed that I'm not really winning or losing any more specifically than when I was using the other team. It's just that the Strider assist makes things much harder to, or much easier to deal with if you do have it. A lot of folks will stick to the top part of the screen and try to avoid a lot of your attacks, and Strider puts them right back down, and that's why I really like Strider. He's mostly an assist character, and I use him primarily as a full-functioning tactic, which was what I was talking about in the previous episode, to get them killed with that X-Factor and Ouroboros as soon as possible. But, so what I've switched things up by using a couple of characters that I kind of know. Dante I've used quite a bit from the first game. Deadpool I've used a little bit from the first game, and not too much in Ultimate Marvel 3. There was a brief period where I played him, but I never really understood, or never really felt that I understood how to use Deadpool. I felt like I was okay with the character, I had a couple of combos, but actually using him and creating proper mix-ups, and one of the things I can tell you guys right now is the guys that get extremely good at Ultimate Marvel 3 are the guys that are able to put mix-ups and are able to apply a mix-up situation and a mind game out of absolutely everything. Out of every single moment, out of every single assist, they're able to apply a mind game where you have to make a pretty big choice, whether or not I have to like block low or high, or look out for like an air grab or something like that. That's the ultimate like goal you really want to achieve, is to be able to do that with everything, and I definitely never reached that with all my characters, especially Deadpool. So I definitely am feeling it, and I'm starting to get used to him, and it's feeling pretty good. Although very difficult when when it comes to this team. I haven't really used much of Akuma at all. He's a fairly new character, albeit a pretty good one. Akuma's not by any means a ridiculously high-tier character in the game, but he's a good mid, and he's a solid mid, and he's a good X-Factor comeback character. He's got that comeback like mechanic in a way, but it takes a little bit of effort, and you have to start like predicting what guys are going to do and go for those air grabs and stuff like that. I like Akuma specifically in this game, not just for the fact that his assist sits out a bit longer than most and locks them down. That's really nice. I like him because it's freaking Cyber Akuma from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. If anyone else remembers that game, please leave a comment below, because that was like the forgotten Versus game of the entire Versus series. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter came up before, or right after Street Fighter, or I'm sorry, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and right before Marvel vs. Capcom. And there was a very, very, very small period of time in between that game coming out and then the original Marvel vs. Capcom coming out. So it's kind of long and forgotten, and not a lot of people know who Shin Akuma even is, because the big bosses in the first game was like Apocalypse and stuff like that, and then it ended up being I think it was Onslaught in Marvel vs. Capcom, and Akuma, or Cyber Akuma, was literally one of the cheapest, freaking, most ridiculous boss characters ever, and that's what kind of made him so memorable. He He was the only character that can throw like 3 fireballs in the air at once. He threw dual fireballs on the ground. His uppercuts would leave his arms like turning into missiles and stuff like that. It was just stupid. He is insanely ridiculous, and I kind of like that about him. So the fact that Cyber Akuma was in this game always really intrigued me, and I really wanted to play that character because I understood the history, and I dealt with that as a kid, and it's just so ridiculous. So there's some interesting stuff that might happen at the end of this video that'll make me very happy that I chose Akuma, and there's like a comeback that I'm pretty proud of, that I don't have much experience with Akuma, but I was able to pull something off. So stick around for that. Something you guys might also be paying attention to is the fact that all the names of the opponents I play now in Ultimate Marvel 3, the Online Warrior, are going to be blurred out. It's another thing where I was getting into the discussion earlier about how like the competitive scene or the online community for the game seems to be kind of barren, and that term of the application term of like Marvel is dying, I guess, kind of works because there is not that much competition now that I've reached this High Lord status. The venue to find people to play has gotten very difficult, and it's overall become kind of like awkwardly hard and frustrating, which is why I was having a bit of frustration over the past few play sessions I've had with Ultimate Marvel 3. And now I'm trying just to do my best to try to make something fresh out of it by putting in a new team. And this new team that I don't really have much synergy, and I'm kind of learning it on the fly by playing people. And I'm playing against some of the best guys in the world at a very haphazard rate. It's like you have to find these dudes, and if you do find them, it's like 1 or 2 guys that are around for a little while, and then they're just gone. And the online ranking is just barren. I have heard, however, through a couple of suggestions by many people that I should switch to the PS3 version because there's a lot more competition if you do not have a higher rank, and the matchmaking just gives you a much easier broad appeal. Even in this game, when you search like by quick match or you search by custom match and you search rank any, I still don't see anything happen. Anyway, getting back to the subject about the names being blurred out, even with this limited amount of competition, and when I've gotten into this higher skill bracket of Marvel Online, I've been getting a crazy amount of requests from people that know that I make this show and I use footage of these online characters, and make the request that I do not use the footage of them playing. And this can be very difficult for me because there is not that much footage to choose from a lot of the time to make something like the Online Warrior nowadays, and I might actually end up making shoutouts to people that I'm going to be online playing the game. So I've had this situation presented to me where people don't want their gameplay to be on there, people to know that it's them, so I'm going to be blurring out the names. That's just the way it's going to have to be from this point forward, that if I want this series to continue and I don't want to retire Ultimate Marvel 3 The Online Warrior, to keep it going this way. If you guys do want to see this series of The Online Warrior continue for this game, please let me know below, because I'm interested to keep it going as long as you guys are interested in keep watching. Interested to keep watching. I made a post on Twitter not too long ago talking about how one of the biggest motivations I've had with the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 game, or the original vanilla version, was that I really enjoyed the fact that I had people watching what I was teaching them. People were enjoying the fact that I was able to discuss things related to a community and bring it into like their thought process. Like that, you should think about this stuff because it's really important to just think about these things instead of just doing, you know? I think that creating conversations with an audience is one of the most important things that I've found as far as like doing video work on YouTube. And it's really important to me, and I made this statement that I think I really have enjoyed like talking with people about Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and teaching people characters and strategies and things like this with the Online Warrior, much more than actually playing the game. And I think that's a pretty fair statement, especially in an online environment. This stuff I will only specifically apply to an online environment because that's where a majority of the playtime I've had with these games remain. So, I'll stick by that one, and that's kind of my current status with the game right now. That's my motivations behind picking the new team, by living out this life online without using Dr. Doom for a while and seeing how it goes. And current result is that it's about the same. It's just about the same. It was very difficult for the first few games. It was hard to find strategies against the really good characters, and it's still fairly difficult because especially Deadpool has very awkward mobility. Finding his way around punishing certain things is a little odd right now, and that can be very frustrating in an online environment to to see things that people are doing that are easily punishable and not able to take advantage of it because of a network situation. And now it's topping on top of that of using a new character. So that's kind of the challenges that you have to run into. Those are the things that you have to do, and I see so many requests of people complaining the fact that I use Dr. Doom and Strider way too much that I will, I guess, appease some folks and stick with the characters that, stick with some different characters for a little while. So for you guys that have been around and are complaining about that, if you are enjoying this, please let me know. But if that's not the case, and I don't see a ridiculous amount of thumbs up on this video for the fact that I'm using a brand new team, well, I'm gonna go back to the stuff that I really enjoy playing and the two characters that make me really happy and I actually really enjoy them, which is Dr. Doom and Strider. But if you guys really like seeing like Deadpool, Dante, and Akuma, let me know in the comments below. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quick before this episode is going to wrap up with this match footage is the current situation with this Marvel is Dead thing. Now, I don't think this applies all the time, although it can feel that way sometime. One of the biggest things that negates this whole like presumption of Marvel being dead is an exhibition match that took place over the past weekend at East Coast Throwdown, another major tournament. And this match was between Fublat and Kane Blue River. I've been meaning to actually dedicate an episode talking about Kane Blue River because Kane Blue River is a player that does not use a team that you would expect to be very good. He uses a team that is very in your face and is not something that you see very often either. And it's Hulk with Hagar and Sentinel. Three characters that have armor on a lot of their moves, can be very difficult to approach, and what I like about Kane Blue River is that he does not use the typical Hulk Sentinel strategy that is very effective in not just an offline environment, but especially in an online environment as well, which is Hulk and drones, and you just constantly barrage like with his gamma charges all the time. No, he uses Hulk with Rocket Punch, and he uses it literally as a combo extension, and his stuff gets really exciting. His opponent was Fublat, who uses Hulk, and I believe he uses Hagar as well, but he uses Wesker. And this was some of the most exciting stuff I've ever seen. It was actually, in my opinion, one of the greatest exhibition matches to watch in fighting game history, because not only was it ridiculously exciting, not only did the whole thing go down to the wire, I do not want to spoil it for you who won, but you can check out the footage online right now. And it was an exhibition of two guys that are very good sportsmanship players. They are extremely nice dudes, and they're in it to just have a show, to show off all these people that this game is still extremely exciting. You do not have to be discouraged by nothing but top tiers. Are these guys winning tournaments left and right? Well, they're making their presence known, and when it comes to making your presence known in a community, using the exact same top-level strategies that everyone else is using but has done better than most people is usually not the best way to get yourself out there. I'm actually going to follow up with this in a conversational episode of Real Talk, talking about how do you get popular in the fighting game community, and I think Kane Blue River is a really good example to tell you guys why. But regardless, and back to the question, this was the anti-sentiment of Marvel is dying. Marvel is absolutely not dying when you watch something like this. When you see the cast of characters used differently than what the normal top tiers are being used, it is ridiculously exciting. And I've had the same experience in other games, more notably Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There was some match footage that debuted very late in the life cycle of Marvel 2 that wasn't just the top 5 characters in the game, between like Storm, Psylocke, Magneto, Sentinel, and stuff like that. I came across match footage of some Japanese players playing American players, and these Japanese characters were using things like Omega Red and Juggernaut and Sabretooth and just the what in the hell type of characters. It was just extremely weird, and they were doing very good with them, and it was so exciting. I couldn't even believe what I was watching. I must have watched these videos 3 or 4 times in succession, and I think they were going up against Yipes and many other really good Marvel 2 players at the time. Either way, this is the same sentiment I felt towards this exhibition match, and when I watched some other guys play Marvel with these crazy unique teams that you don't see all the time. The problem that the statement that Marvel is dead doesn't especially apply to that fact that people aren't playing the game. It's the fact that there is a huge lack of innovation with people playing the game. There are guys out there that dedicate their lives, that dedicate a huge majority of their life to being extremely good at Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Ultimate Marvel 3. almost more so than many other fighting games at this point. There seems to be a huge conglomerate of dudes that just focus around Marvel because it's that crazy of a game. The problem is that a lot of the guys that are really up there on the top tier echelon, I don't really want to point out any specific name by any means, or any specific group of people, because I don't think it really relates to or is applicable towards one specific person. But what we see is the exact same things over and over again, the exact same strategies, the exact same combos, and these people kind of take things from other people, and this person takes something from that person, and we have this repeated process of these players kind of cannibalizing strategy on top of each other to make themselves the best at the game. This isn't a bad thing by any means. What it means is that you have the players using the best of the game to their advantage to make their win possible. However, it does not result in a very entertaining experience. It results in the exact same things being seen over and over and over again, and it can get a little dry and boring. I think that's the sentiment of Marvel is dead is kind of coming from, is that there's a very huge lack of innovation, and I think one of the last great, really proficient innovators that I could think of right now when it comes to Ultimate Marvel 3 was probably Marlin Pie. Marlin Pie came up with a lot of the insane swag stuff that Dr. Doom could do, and other things with the combination of characters and synergy. It was really exciting to see Marlin play the game, because every time he jumped back into it, you would see some new, just batshit crazy, insane Dr. Doom combo that you did not even know was possible. And when that stuff was happening, there was nothing wrong with Marvel. Marvel was absolutely fine because you had innovators. You had guys that were out there actively looking for things that weren't just the norm of what is good. They were searching for things to break the mold, to break the system. And those are the guys that end up being very popular over time. And now that Marlin doesn't seem to be, like, in the tournament scene as much, he's missed. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, man, I miss Marlin Pie. And these guys really don't understand why, and it's because he did breathe a lot of life into the game Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 by showing new tech. He's not the only one. There are many other guys that breathe life into the game, like Kane Blue River and stuff like that, amongst many other players that use a variety of teams that you don't see anymore. As long as this stuff is new, and it's discovered, and it's brought into the community, and it's not the exact same old, you know, Dr. Doom and Virgil, and it's just like my Virgil and Dr. Doom is just way better than your Virgil and Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? That's essentially what it breaks down. And I think that this game definitely has a lot to it, because it's so open-ended, it's so absolutely insane, it's going to be very hard to kill a game like this one when there's so much batshit crazy stuff in it. If you guys enjoyed this episode of Ultimate Marvel 3 The Online Warrior, please leave me a comment below, and I appreciate a thumbs up. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you guys next week.